tournament pitting generic characters against one another. Some of these characters have trained for months for this moment. Others woke up this morning learning that they would be here. Let's see what happens. First up, bee versus monkey. We immediately have a match worthy of our attention. Both of these characters have deceptive smiles, but this is mere ostentation that lures opponents into a false sense of security. On the one hand is a bee with a stinger, a honey dipper, the ability to fly, and stripes that warn of the threat he poses. On the other is a creature whose agility in trees is unmatched among the mascots, the element of surprise from above, the strength of a monkey, and most important, problem-solving acumen. Despite these advantages, however, monkey falls as bee lures him with a honey trail into a pit. Winner, bee. Next up, tiger versus frog. This match is obviously more lopsided than the last, or is it? At first glance, Tiger's sheer tiger strength, his size superiority, and importantly, his winning smile should overpower the diminutive frog in this matchup. But Frog's size may be an advantage, for he boasts quickness and elusiveness, not to mention a hidden frog toxin that harms anyone who dares touch him. Alas, to avoid public scrutiny for defeating a creature much smaller than him, Tiger resorts to calling a pest control agent, who quickly snatches poor Frog into his net, a canny move from Tiger that assures him the win. Winner, Tiger. Next we have Cuckoo Bird versus the Sun. This match pits a bird with penetrating vocal cords against a medium-sized star whose surface temperature reaches 1.8 million degrees Fahrenheit. No mercy is shown by the sun to the small creature that shares his name, and the sun easily bests Cuckoo Bird by moving inches closer toward him for daring to distract him from his job of warming the earth. Winner, Sun. Next we have Dracula, Frankenstein, and Ghost versus Pour, Crunch, and Slurp Elves. This more complex match involves no fewer than 6 contestants. The more well-known cereal sound trio have at their disposal various cereal sounds whose danger is only evident once milk is poured upon them. All the pouring, crunching, and slurping would, after long periods, wear on the minds of any sane creature. This, in addition to their elven features, could draw the unsuspecting into a Medusa-like trance. The monsters, however, know a thing or two about eerie sounds, for they themselves make such sounds to frighten their enemies. More frightening still is their reputation from the books and movies that tout the danger they each pose. And in the end, it is this reputation that frightens the wee elves into silence. They retreat and submit without a fight. Winner, the monsters. Next is Cowboy versus Rooster. Nothing says danger like a cowboy sporting a 12-gallon hat, except perhaps for a multicolored rooster. In this bout, the yellow cowboy draws corn cobs from his holster quicker than a sleepy hound dog to catch the rooster off guard, but Rooster recovers quickly after Cowboy's hat falls to the ground. Rooster crows loudly into the hat, which creates an echo the likes of which has not been seen in modern times. Cowboy, who falls to the ground with hands over his ears, is stunned by the noise, and Rooster crows triumphant. Winner, Rooster. Next is Toucan versus Bear. Anyone watching a bear face off against a toucan would dismiss the match as fruitless for the toucan, but that's because they underestimate the famed bird. Toucan's massive beak has the power to crush seeds and hypnotize sleepy bears with its size and its multiple colors. He can also fly above the competition when threatened, then dive down from above in a harrowing attack. What the poor bird failed to learn, however, is that Bear has the strength of 20 men. He also learned from Goldilocks and knows just how much to fight before resting. Toucan watches the bear lumber over toward him before growling menacingly. Needless to say, Toucan sees his last flight for a long time, and the battle ends with Bear's victory. Winner, Bear. Next, we have Leprechaun versus Rabbit. We come to a match between flim-flam chicanery on the one hand and sheer luck on the other. One has the power to dupe and deceive, while the other relies on the force of a clover. It is a game not of strength, but of wit and fortune. What Rabbit lacks in strength he makes up for in intellect, and his sleight of hand, along with his cuteness, has tricked countless others before. Leprechaun, though not as smart, has a mesmerizing Irish accent and a large pot of gold. Hiding in said pot, Leprechaun plans to use Rabbit's duplicitous behavior against him. Believing that Leprechaun has gone to fetch his four-leaf clover, Rabbit hops forward for Leprechaun's gold, a trap that Leprechaun uses when he emerges from the pot and begins to tickle Rabbit with the clover in his hat. Rabbit tries to counter by thumping his paws to shake the ground, but it is too late. Leprechaun's tricks and Ticklefest cause Rabbit to succumb, and Leprechaun wins. Winner, Leprechaun. Next we have Cinnamon Flake versus Wheat Biscuit. The cards fell favorably for both of these mascots, for they are equally matched. There's some milk. This equality has less to do with the strength each brings and much more to do with their equal weakness. Indeed, other than simple hands and legs, the only advantages Flake has is his sheer speed and his ability to sprinkle cinnamon on his opponent. Wheat, on the other hand, has a thick shield of sugar to protect him, and more importantly, the ability to turn from his sugar side to his wheat side when in danger. Few observed another clear advantage. Wheat is 10 times thicker than Flake. Thus, while Flake is quicker than Wheat, Wheat is able to dodge enough and counter with a pounce on Flake that leaves the thin morsel incapacitated. Flake tries to recover by shaking all the cinnamon he can atop Wheat, but this only motivates the biscuit into turning his sugar side against Flake to shield himself before turning back to his wheat side to confuse Flake into believing he is fighting two opponents. Indeed, Flake was fighting two opponents, and this eventually wears down Flake, now emptied of his cinnamon and tired to the point of submission. Winner, generic wheat biscuit. Next is Wolf versus Pirate, and this is the last one. Both wolves and pirates have one thing in common. Both are considered rogues. Wolf's devious smile has captured the attention of many, not least Little Red Riding Hood, but Pirate has himself dealt tricks to unsuspecting privateers and navy captains in his day. Worse, the ominous noise of Pirate's famous peg leg has brought his victims to their knees. He is, after all, a pirate. However, Wolf has a howl that equals Pirate's threat. For a time, both emit loud noises, and it seems like a stalemate. Then, slyly, Wolf places kittens in the lap of poor Pirate. Pirate is too distracted by cuteness to respond, and the battle ends with Wolf victorious. Winner? Whoops. Wolf wasn't supposed to lose. Pirate was supposed to lose. Oh well. Anyway, thank you for watching. Here are my sources.